Hello, everyone, and welcome to our weekly WeAwake group meditation. And wherever you are on the planet, we're really grateful and appreciate you being here. And this is the a good portion of the WeAwake team. So thank you guys for being here. And yeah, I'm kind of heavy heart today, and it's at times it's hard not to be if you're sensitive soul and looking around at the world. And I'm living in kind of a very rural conservative area now because of karma, I suppose, or family responsibilities. And I often wear my veteran's hat, right? Because I'm a former, I'm a veteran of the United States Army. And in conservative areas, people really appreciate that. They're very patriotic, and they say thank you for your service, and they just treat you differently. It's a lot of respect for the armed forces in a certain strata of American culture. So they talk to me and they tell me a lot of things. And I hear a lot now talk about secession and states breaking away from the United States, civil war. That's a really good thing. We need to do that. And, we went through a period in the United States when, I was so encouraged. I thought we were really getting it together, and when Obama was elected the first time, Heidi was there with me when we watched the results. We were ecstatic. We were weeping. It's like, we're really starting to get a hold of this shit. We're making progress here. And the second, when he was reelected, it was even more amazing. And then we had, the dark years that followed. And if you're a Trump supporter, I'm sorry, I'm just saying my heart right now. The dark years of Donald Trump and the feeding of hatred and divisiveness, and whole broadcast networks that fill their rice bowls by keeping people upset and angry and divided. And that hurts. And we're closer to a shooting war with Russia in Eastern Europe than we've probably ever been. That's just teetering on the brink. And, we live in the United States. There's pockets of poverty that just go on generationally and involves gangs, drugs, and violence. And I think it's the south side of Chicago in the last 10 years have been more gang killings in all of America's involvement during the same time period in Iraq and Afghanistan. Just like, really? And so it seems that in a lot of ways things are going downhill and unraveling. But as Jeff Salzman says, and I don't know if it's a direct quote, but it's something along the lines that evolution is really great, but it's not pretty. And I was listening to a spiritual teacher that I have a lot of respect for. His name is Z-ish Shalom, and he teaches at Naropa University in Boulder, Colorado. And he comes from an Orthodox Jewish perspective. He's a very learned guy, but his spiritual enlightenment, if you will, has made him very much a universal teacher. He comes from that place that transcends, that includes his tradition, but includes others and transcends and brings them all together. And he said that we were going through a period of contraction, just like in birth. All of us sitting here are evidence that somebody had a really painful, bloody experience in birthing us. It ain't easy, and it's often heroic. So new life and new birth is often preceded by a near-death experience or even a death experience. And it seems like that we are going through such a period now, and it might get a lot worse before it gets better. So what do? Well, we wake up, right? And we show up and do the best we can on a micro and a macro level, and in your day-to-day dealings the very complex dealings with friends and colleagues and people that you meet on the street and in your work and families. So, and also in how you lead your life. And we don't know always what is the right thing to do. Yeah, and a lot of the, I've counted myself, I guess, a liberal or progressive for most of my adult life. Early on, not so much, but then I kind of had a shift, and now a lot of the far progressive forces in the United States they're just horrible. They're just throwing fuel on the fire with their self-righteousness and condemning everybody that doesn't see things exactly like them, and just making it worse. It seems if we're against racism, we should behave in a way that ameliorates it and lessens it, right? Not reinforces people who are in a negative place. So God help us. So anyway, what do we do? Well, one of the things we do is we continue to work on ourselves and look deep inside for wisdom, compassion, and guidance. So that's what I'm suggesting that we do in the next 20 minutes together. And we're going to be doing from Forgetting Not to Remember. I've got 3 tracks, and we're doing The Joy of Being, interestingly enough. And it is it's an alpha range that we're in training to. So let's just go inside and put our hearts together and minds and hold the space that each one of us and collectively we can do the best we can and be the best we can be to pass through these times that we've been born into, right? And in realizing somewhat humorously the old Chinese curse, which is, may you be born in interesting times. Well, we certainly are that. So let's see if we can do what we can do to make this as feasible as possible, and to eliminate ignorant and unnecessary suffering as much as possible from our lives and from the world around us and all sentient beings. So without further ado, let's get this started. Welcome back, beloved. I hope that was good. It's a great track, and it's by Lee Spoosta, our Gandalf, our wizard, our beloved brother in California. And anyway, thank you for that, Lee. Very good. So yeah, so kind of building on what I was saying, and ultimately on the path of growth, spiritual growth, emotional growth, human growth, individually and collectively, there is no way to spiritually bypass the darkness and come out okay. Wouldn't that be nice? And there's a lot of I think a lot of spiritual approaches that tend to do that. And in the Christian thing, it's like, oh, Jesus, he did it. He paid the price. We're all good. Now we can just live in the light. Not so much. No, I think the message there in Jesus is that we, at some point, we all have to go through the death and rebirth and the crucifixion and the dealing, holding the pain of existence and pain, the pain of the world in our hearts. And you can do that. No, I have a lot, and it's just what we're called to do. And if you can, and I think these technologies are really good because they really get us down to these very low and effective brainwave states, but it doesn't do all the work for you. It just kind of opens the door. And when you get down there in those deep realms of the human psyche and consciousness, you still got to show up. You still have to do the heroic work. It's like, yikes. And but if you do, it's ultimately okay. And ultimately, what the masters are telling us is that, and the great spirit traditions, ultimately it's going to be all right. That we are not alone in the universe, not by a long shot. And as one teacher said, God does have an agenda, even though it doesn't seem so. And we are that agenda, and we are that. Okay. So even in the darkest times, in the darkest night, there's still the light of being that is in everything, down to the most quantum quarkness of a mysterious existence that seems to be nothing but space and emptiness that everything emerges from all the time, moment to moment, is still that it's still that light. And I've been blessed to be part of a podcasting experience. If you guys haven't heard of it yet, it's called Deep Transformation. And my co-host is Dr. Roger Walsh. He's a great guy, a very learned in the Tibetan tradition. He's the Lama, many years of practice, and a great scholar, and written many really powerful books. And one of the things Roger told me when he was a young man, he spent some time with Mother Teresa, and he was awakened to the suffering of the world. And his question was, well, what can I do? What can I do? And his instructions were to write. You can write books. And he wrote books, and he would feel alive. And he wrote a whole bunch of books. I can't keep up with how many books Roger's written, but I read a bunch of them. And Essential Spirituality is one, which I give away all the time. So, and anyway, in these conversations that we're having with these remarkable people, and we talked to Michael Murphy yesterday. God, guy's 91 years old, and it's just so lucid and so on top of it, and so lived his life in such an honorable, noble, good way. He's been working on bringing together Russians and Americans for years. And, it came to mind, Sermon on the Mount. Jesus said, "Blessed are the peacemakers, for they shall be called the children of God." Well, Michael certainly qualifies for that designation, and hopefully we all do. And big picture, little picture. And also, if you've listened to the conversations of Christopher Bache, an amazing hero and consciousness explorer. And both of these men have said that they are convinced, and they know that it doesn't end with this particular manifestation, it continues, that the universe just doesn't create our incredibly complex, weird selves and just goes poof when the body, changes into other forms. That is still there, and it seems to be coming back, and there seems to be something working out, generations, millennia, and it's all headed in a good direction. And there is a presence in the universe that is ultimately good and okay. So I guess to awaken to that reality, and not just because Michael said so, or John said so, or somebody said so, but in our own path. And of course we can listen to others, and there's a great transmission that comes through others who are maybe further down the road than we are. But in our own explorations, if we keep going and searching inside and being present in our own souls, God will speak to us, and we'll learn, and we'll see, and know that the good that we do here continues. Okay. And ultimately, that's what we're here to do, is to do good and to be compassionate. So, and how do we do that? Another thing Michael Murphy and his dear friend George Leonard created was the idea of integral transformative practice. And it was carried on, and Ken Wilber grabbed hold of it, and he made it integral life practice. And I grabbed onto the idea as maybe the only, truly holistic, effective way out for dealing with addiction and alcoholism. And so knowing that, and knowing what we know about that, and knowing the science and the solidity of the data and the decades of experience now, it just behooves us to make that an important part of our lives, and figure out how you can do that, how you can take care of your body, how you can take care of your mind, how you can take care of your heart, how you can take care of your soul, and in ongoing practices. And everybody's different, and you can start. I teach a way that's very very basic, but as you stick with the process, the practice begins to teach you and reveal itself to you, and we begin to just practice as our life shows us the best way. But a dedication to that can help us in probably no other way at least the most effective way that we have any control over to become really manifest our own human potential and who we're supposed to be. So that's the good news. And so anyway, here's sending out love and gratitude. Thank you all for showing up and being here, and continue to, let us continue to work on ourselves and be all that we can be. And thanks for being here one more time. God bless.